So I just watched another film on Shudder, and this time I decided to watch Tourist Trap from 1979. And this one I had vaguely heard of, but I had not heard anything about it. I definitely remember seeing ABGN make a video about it and a few other horror fans or horror YouTubers or whatever, but I had never actually watched the video on it. And so going in, I mean, I just had the little basic synopsis about, these people getting stranded and being stuck in like a wax museum and, being terrorized by mannequins and a killer. And so as I was watching it, it was from 1979, so it keeps with that old late 70s, early 80s vibe. And, I personally really like those movies. And the character interactions were pretty dull. And honestly, a lot of this movie was unfortunately pretty dull. The characters themselves, there's 5 or I guess 6 or 7 in the whole movie. It's a little weird. But the 5 main characters, I mean, none of them are all that interesting, I don't think. There's 2 dudes and then 3 girls. The first guy, he dies pretty early on, I think. I assume he does. But basically, right, like it's about the group of 5 people, they get a flat tire, go to a gas station, meet a dude, he tells them, about an area that they had trespassed onto, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they don't leave. They end up discovering his house, and shit kind of hits the fan. Really borrows a lot from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, actually. Now that I think about it, it really does. Like, it's very, very similar to that movie. Like, the production, the atmosphere, the vibe, the villain's mask. I mean, it's a very, very similar movie. Or it borrows a lot from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a good movie to borrow from. It's a great, great film. One of the best horror movies ever made, in my opinion. And so, yeah, there's the main villain, right? This old guy named Slauson. And he comes off very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, kind of like the old man Jim Saito, right? Or kind of like Norman Bates, and that he seems like a kind, sweet, normal individual, an old man. He's introduced kind of creepily, I guess gawking or just he sees like all the women in the movie like skinny dipping, and he's like, hey, kind of creepy. That's how we're introduced to him. I mean, pretty funny. I remember watching that and being like, what the fuck? Because he was like trying to get them to come out and stuff. It was pretty funny. But no, I think there are 4 deaths in the movie, but only 2 of them are on screen, I believe. Very strange movie. Very, very, very strange. The first bit of action in the movie is probably only about 15 minutes in, which is kind of nice. Where one of the group gets like ambushed by all of the mannequins and shit. And I gotta admit, the mannequins are pretty cool. The set design is pretty good. All right, I can give this movie that. Okay, I can admit that, the dummies, the wax figures, the special effects that they did with those, or the practical effects rather, I thought it was pretty good. I gotta admit, that was definitely a strong suit for this movie. I know one of the guys who did the set design for Texas Chainsaw Massacre worked on this movie. Once again, not really much of a surprise there, because it just it looks like it could have been a sequel, or it looks like it could have been from that fucking universe. But like the first death is very bizarre. It's pretty creepy, I guess. I don't know. It's supposed to be creepy, and I can see how it could be creepy, but to me, it didn't come off as that significant. Like, there's mannequins screaming, and there's shit flying everywhere, and he gets, like, stabbed with, I guess, a screwdriver or some sort of, like, long object. Looks like one of those things you use to check your freaking oil in your car, but thicker. And it, like, goes, like, womp on his, like, lower oblique, and I guess he dies. I don't know. I don't believe he comes back in the movie at all, right? Doesn't really make any sense, especially because there are other moments in the movie where, like, there's a scene where a girl gets, like, choked, and you think she's dead, but she ends up being alive when they're, like, all trapped in the cellar. And then you have, in my opinion, the coolest and the most fucked up part about this movie, I think personally, is when he suffocates the girl by putting the plaster on her face. That is so disturbing. That is terrifying. That is genuinely the most chilling part of this movie. Just the thought of somebody being suffocated by having, like, wax mold on their face and not being able to breathe. Utterly terrifying. I mean, I gotta admit, pretty good. That's something that I can give this movie. Otherwise, though, the whole shtick with this thing is that, you know, the main villain, Slauson or whatever, he has got, like, multiple personality disorder of some sort, and he has got, like, his wife and his brother. He murdered both of them because he caught them cheating. He caught his brother fucking his wife, killed them both, and he decided to kind of, like, reanimate them with, like, as, like, wax figures. It's really bizarre. A lot of the movie, you think somebody's alive, but in reality, they're not. And a lot of the movie I thought was kind of numb, dull. I was just barely interested enough to keep watching. I will say the last 15 to 20 minutes were pretty engaging, but at the same time, I was kind of, like, weirded out more than I was, like, actually entertained. But I was engaged, in fairness. So I guess that's where something. I think one of the moments where I was like, oh shit, was at the very end where, I guess at the point we thought was the lone surviving male from the group, because there's 2 guys and 3 girls. You think he's there to, like, save the day or whatever, and then it turns out that he was, like, a mannequin the whole time, which is strange. And I gotta give it to him though, because they really played up the whole mannequin alive versus not alive pretty well. I gotta admit, it was strange, and it had me confused and thinking. And I will say, if movies can make you think, that's a good thing. But in the end, there's only, like, 3 deaths on screen. The main guy, Slauson, gets an axe to the neck. You know, not that special. And I mean, the movie's not a slasher. It's like a supernatural thriller. I don't know what the hell it is, but basically the blonde bitch makes it out in the end, and like, the last shot is kind of cool, I guess, because it's got, like, she saves her 4 friends, but they're all, like, wax figures because he kills them and then makes them wax figures, right? The mask, pretty cool, actually. I kind of like the look. Looks a lot like Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, which is a weird mask, but it works in this movie. It's creepy as shit. I will say I did see it coming when she pulled out the shotgun. She shot him twice. I knew they were blanks, bro. I knew they were blanks, and I was proud of myself when it turned out that they were. But yeah, Tourist Trap. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't good. I didn't like it very much. Perhaps second watch, closer analyzing, because I guess it's a bit of a cult classic. A lot of people really like it. Personally, didn't pique my interest too much. It was I don't want to say borderline me turning it off during watching it, but at the same time, if something happened and I needed to go, I wouldn't be like, I have to finish this movie. I'll give it 1.5 out of 5. I think its biggest strength is, while for me personally, it wasn't that impressive and it made me kind of laugh a little bit. It was like, I still do think the work that they did with the mannequins and the makeup on the wax figures, and just the whole wax thing in general was pretty cool. Right? It was pretty cool. It had me second guessing, and I don't know if entertained is the word, but it had me interested. It had me thinking. So, yeah, I don't I don't see myself ever watching this movie again though.